Hello.
Here we are.
Here we are,
Yeah. Um,
doing our thing.
Once
Doing,
again, we're gonna drop some pretty cool stuff.
yeah.
We're gonna, over here we've been regrouping, reorganizing, relearning, relearning,
Rebirthing.
rebirthing, all kinds of re's,
Yeah,
right?
re's.
All kinds of
We're
re-re.
going to the re-re.
Um,
Re-re.
yeah, it's been quite an interesting few months, right? Um, we had talked earlier in a video about the twin flame dynamic and really the misconception of what it is. Um, and what it is isn't what you think it is, right? I'm gonna say that again. What it is isn't what you think it is. Um,
I see what you did there.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about what a twin flame is, the truth about it.
Deeper truth.
A
And
deeper truth. We did a video called the twin flame. It's a spark.
it is.
And even at that point in time when we did that video, Spirit hadn't revealed all the information,
Mm.
right? And the way that things and programs and classes and courses and webinars and workshops and things like that come to us, right? Isn't something that we sit around with a pen and piece of paper like they do at Saturday Night Live and write
Skit.
sketches, right? We
The
don't do
weekly skit.
the weekly skit.
Yeah.
What we don't do
The
that.
runner chaser stops.
Welcome to Saturday Night.
Yeah.
Uh,
It feels like that in a way. It
sometimes it
really
does.
does. It feels like it's a
Sometimes it
skit.
does, but no, it's literally it's messages. It's what spirit's giving us. It's and revealing to us, and it's quite amazing. And when we did the video called, I don't know what it was called, something about the spark, the twin flame spark. Even then, right? We're always learning. Lee and I are always learning, right? Even then, we wasn't aware of the total concept of what that is going to spark. At that point in time, I was just assuming, okay, so it's just a spark and that takes you from sort of a what would have been normally had been a relationship.
Yeah.
That spark, it's a connection,
Mm.
right? The spark is connection.
Right.
And so yeah, so there's a whole lot of information that we want to get to you. Of course, we have a membership, so we're gonna drop some truth here, but we're gonna drop some serious truth over there.
Absolutely.
And look, membership's super inexpensive on the month,
I think it's nine ninety
not
nine. I
nine
don't
ninety
even.
nine a month
I know we
for
set
a
it up
whole
there.
month.
There's new ones that but
Yeah.
we'll get into all that. But I think we're sticking with the truth.
Mhm.
Um,
So
and
that the truth about twin flame,
yes,
the
yes,
truth
yes,
about twin
yes.
flames.
And here's how you'll know it's the truth, because the depth of which we're going to speak from should open up what you're looking for. Because it we found this not lightly. We found this under very heaviness connection patterning. Because if we looked at what Sherry and I have been through, even through our struggle to keep her here, or through everything we went through even prior to our meet, we decided to go out and connect with all of you. And when we did that, we collected all of this pain without realizing we were connecting all of these dots to really lead us to our actual truth. The actual truth is your pain, right? And we mean that in a very sincere way. We mean that in a non-preachy way. We mean to tell you that if it weren't for the pain, which has been our teacher through all of this, um, we wouldn't have been able to experience the bliss or the joy of connection, because that's what's required. You know, we've talked about the prenatal experience and the pathway, and then you have to end up going into pain before you bring something out that'll be connected to you. Well, that same formula is actually what the connection twin flame means.
Hmm.
It's pointing to what you know about human connection, but it's also trying to ask you, do you want human connection or don't you?
Mm,
And that's the challenge. The more you look deeper into what we're actually saying here is, what if that innocence and vulnerability and the way that it was accepted when you first got here could be a way of life where you could live that way, where you could
mm,
actually have a connection to someone in such a way that you can feel them at all every turn. And it's beautiful. It's not um as tangible as we could put it to you, and as much as there's stories out there that they're going to do this, they're going to do that, there's so much information that it's giving you misinformation. So we're just going to stick with the truth, which is going to be something you can feel, not something you can think about.
mhm,
Um, what happened to you in your childhood? This is the reemergence of that. It's going to shine a huge light on it. And what it's going to show you is how you've created your relationships in your life based out of what disconnected you.
mm,
And it's really, really, really hard to grasp that.
mm,
But know that we found it and we know what it means and we know how to keep it. And you can see, even on this channel, what we've built here was for you to find a place where you could find the truth and find this answer. So this feels like a very new space for us to be coming from because although we're still students of our pain and students of our connection, we want to be teachers out here to you from what we're getting from it because you shouldn't have to feel like you could be alone.
mm.
What if things like separation and removal would do something to you? But the twin flame truth really starts from what you believed in your childhood connection was.
Like it starts with the parental triangle. It
Yes.
starts there.
The parental triangle is the base for all of
Yeah.
it. And if that's absent, if one of them walks away, if they don't have a foundation,
So your parents' inability to stay connected to you
yes.
or each other.
And it's because of something that happened to them that disconnected them that did that to you. So it's like you don't see the generational cause and effect until you see
Mm,
the generational cause and effect.
mm,
So, and it's different for every single person who finds this connection. And that's what makes it so beautiful and unique is each person who goes through that, if they choose, could heal that very thing for generations to come, which is very powerful. And it's a lot of weight.
mhm,
So we get it. But the work that's required to do it isn't something that's easy to do. It's just not. I wish we could tell you we can make it, you know, butterflies and rainbows, but you don't require true love without the truth, which will be found in your pain, which will be found in
mhm,
the connection you have to yourself. And that's what we discovered more so than anything. It wasn't about the other person as much as it is about what you're telling yourself about the connection. That makes it impossible for them to create or meet those expectations. So, what they do as well, more than anything, is they expose where you're lying to yourself, which was very obvious with me and Sherry. You know,
mhm,
I could see that I didn't like telling her lies. I could feel it. I didn't know that I felt that until her. So
mm.
like when I could see her and see like, oh no, she thinks I'm lying to her, I could feel you knowing I was lying. But it was the first time I've ever
Does it still
acknowledged.
happen to this day? I'm just curious.
Ah, I don't lie. So I don't know. I don't experience it. I don't have a reason. The reason I had for lying to you then was wounded based.
Mhm.
If I'm lying to you now, it's not wounded based.
But so
See, I knew I
if
was
you're
going to come
lying
back
to
and
me
get
now,
her.
it's like
See
the
how I
boys hitting
backdoored her? You
no
saw
boys
how I
hitting
did?
Mexico,
Everybody saw how
somebody
I
hit
did.
me type thing.
Somebody saw how that went down. They just didn't feel the way I
Oh,
felt.
okay. Hmm.
So you literally can play. It's different when you don't have like I'm hiding this from you for,
A
I
reason for shady
like, well,
reasons.
no, not a shady reason. I'm keeping this from you because I don't want you to know how I'm hurting everybody
Okay.
or myself.
Right.
It's not, I'm just keeping it from you because I don't want you to know.
Hmm.
Well, most people end up saying it's none of your damn business. But literally, what it breaks down to is nobody's connected to me to even care enough. So why would you?
Right.
That's literally what it boils down to. And
Like I'll,
it's,
I'll abandon you too.
well, you believe the
It,
person will abandon
if
you.
yeah,
If
if because
you got to give them
if you're
reasons to.
not because we're raised if and told sometimes if we're not perfect we get left.
The sneaky part
Right.
is you got to give them reasons to leave you. You got to give them reasons to leave you. If you believe that you were abandoned by people and you've always been abandoned by people, you need to make sure that you create the reasons that they abandon you.
Right.
So you don't see the part of the action that shows up when you start believing people abandon you.
Got it.
You get trapped under that rock, and now all you can believe is, you know, oh, you're going to leave me, so I'm going to treat you like shit, so I'm right. And they don't see that that's what they're being right about
Hmm.
until they do.
Right.
So anybody who has that story of, well, they're just, they're not choosing me, or they've gone with somebody else. All of those are stories that you're telling yourself.
Hmm.
But then when you ask yourself, well, did I let them connect to me to begin with? You're going to hear an answer on the inside, and if you can't hear an answer, that's the problem. That's where the journey should be
Yeah.
starting, but the journey doesn't.
This is important. This if you listen to nothing else today,
Mm.
not one other thing today about twin flames, listen to this. Twin flames are mirrors of your earliest wounds. A twin flame isn't a soulmate you're meant to marry. They're a mirror reflecting the parts of you that were disconnected a long time ago.
Through a parental triangle that you don't even know
Right.
or don't even go and sit in. So what ends up happening is you chase this very thing when the only thing that's going to get you there is chasing the thing we just pointed to.
Well, yeah, like
And it's hard.
just try to give an example. So just say we'll use six, right?
Mm.
And I was just talking to you about this earlier. Um, I have a son, Cameron, when, he was a baby and a little toddler, come here and hug mommy. Come on, you know what I mean? Come on in here. And we would lay together and hug on each other, right? And then about 6 or 7, you know what I mean? With him, it was more like 8 or 9. It was like, you know what I mean? And then, they pull away. They don't want the hugs as much anymore. And sometimes at night they do, right? But then the older they get, then you're like, should I be loving on him so much? You know what I mean? The way the world is today, right?
Everything into
It
a
turns
relationship.
everything into something messed up. And then we go about our lives thinking, God, what did I do to make my mom stop loving me?
Right.
What did I do to make my mom stop loving on me? Like, what did I do? Right. And in my case, too, gosh, is when I was 15, right? And my mom walked in when I was being sexually abused. You know what I mean? Then it goes, what did I do to her?
That she kept them there.
What did I do to her
That she
that
kept them there.
she allowed him to stay in our home?
Right.
And
And why wasn't my dad there?
right,
So when you
right.
start looking at
Hmm.
all those variables,
Yeah.
how do you trust connection?
Right. We don't understand why the hugs stop. We don't understand why the affection and the love stops, right? We don't understand. We think it's our fault, you
Mm.
know.
Not
Um,
realizing it's a pattern.
right. And then a twin flame, when we meet a twin flame,
Mm.
um, your presence, your presence dug up that all the box of those buried emotions,
Mhm.
right? The things that I put into healing enough to put into healing and shove that box back down and tape it a little bit, right? I healed it enough.
Wait, can we
Yeah,
can we can we sit with that
I
one,
healed it
please?
enough.
Enough.
I
How can I?
healed it enough.
As strange as this
I healed
question
it
may
enough.
sound,
It was enough healed.
what does that
I
mean
healed it
exactly?
enough.
If we had to
I healed it
if
enough
we
for
had to
the
come up with a definition, I healed
I
enough.
healed it enough.
What does healed
Well,
enough
it's where the
mean?
mind noise is like shut down. You know what I mean?
You
It's like
sat in the pain long enough for it to
set the
quiet.
pain long enough for it to like be quiet for a minute. And
Yes.
that's when you like try to get a cat in a bathtub. You ever try to do that?
Yes. Yes.
It's like trying to get a cat in a bathtub. you get this wet, mean old clawy cat, and you put it in
Amen.
a box, and you tape it up real quick, and then you put it back down,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
And then you come along, and you're like, "Hey, what's in this box?" And you start taking the
I
tape
just
off.
pop it open and start taking stuff
Wait
out.
a minute,
And
right?
that's what it feels
I
like.
taped up that box on purpose,
Right.
and you just come in with a box cutter.
And the thing is, the more I'm going to the box, the more
Yeah,
reaction you have to it, the more I start to feel like what I'm doing to you is wrong. So I start
this,
telling myself, so I
yeah,
start telling myself, you don't want to be with me,
right,
which is 95% of all the breakups we see,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You did this to me.
yeah.
I did nothing for myself because I was doing it all for you. And
Mhm.
you're not saying, when you say that, do you not hear yourself saying, I abandoned myself and I put you first. Now
Mhm.
I'm mad at you
Yeah,
because you watched me do it and
yeah.
couldn't stop me.
Couldn't, right. Yeah.
That's literally what it is.
Guys, this mirroring is so brutal, but it's necessary because you can't heal what you don't feel, right? And we are going to stop here because we're taking all this meat over to our members and we're going to continue this
Where the
conversation.
parental triangle begin.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to go there. We're going to start talking about this parental triangle where it begins. And we're going to talk about what a twin flame really is. We've touched on it here. We're
Oh,
going to go down.
we went like a little bit to the depth, but
Yeah.
know that we didn't go deep. So know that that's coming. So we'll see you guys down there. Let's
See
get
you
over
over
here and
there,
talk to these
members.
members. See you later.